Hey guys, thank you for watching again. Today who I'm going to speak about is Saint Ephraim and the miracle that happened with a police officer. He was also in the military, in the armed forces. He was actually an atheist. He didn't believe. And one day, it would have been approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, he says, where he was renovating his house. And as he was walking through the house, from inside the house, he smelled myrrh, that beautiful aromatic fragrance. And that is known when the saint appears, that smell comes.
Now we will see Vasily, the gentleman that the miracle took place with. And basically what he's saying is that he felt very lethargic, so he went to the doctor. The doctor told him to have some blood tests. And when the test came back, they actually told him that his liver was completely damaged and that he had to go to hospital. So he decided to go to hospital, where there he had another set of blood tests. And sure enough, the doctors told him that his liver was in a very bad condition and that he would require to have a transplant. At that moment, Vasily says that he just reassessed his life, and although being an atheist, he just felt the need to start praying. Meanwhile, Vasily heard about the miracles of Saint Ephraim, and he decided to go to the monastery in Makri, but the doctors wouldn't let him because he wasn't allowed to move. So basically he just packed up and off he went and left secretly. Now, as they were driving there, they stopped at a petrol station, which had a supermarket behind there, just to get some directions. And they saw a nun. So they asked her how they could go to the monastery of Saint Ephraim. And the nun crossed her hands and said, "I'm not going to tell you how to get there. You will find it yourself. But I'll also tell you that whoever the saint wants to help or protect, he will appear to you and you'll be able to smell his myrrh."
On that note, I'm just going to jump in here and say that is the smell that he smelt in his house when I said that he was renovating. So as I said, when he appears, a lot of people smell that smell.
Once they got to the monastery and saw the tomb of the nun, they realized that that was her.
So just in case you didn't get that, he said that when he went to the monastery, he saw obviously the tomb of Macaria, which was the nun that found the relics of the saint, and on her tomb was her photo, okay? And he recognized that the deceased nun, okay, was actually the nun that he had seen previously on the way to the monastery that spoke to him when he inquired about the directions, how to get there. How amazing is that? So let's keep hearing this story.
When he made this realization, something inside him started to awake. And then when he found himself in front of the relics of Saint Ephraim, he dropped to the ground and he found himself crying what we call the tears of the Holy Spirit, tears of joy. And he found himself doing his first holy confession. He also prayed to the saint for strength and also to help him with his health. Now, upon their return to the hospital, the doctors told him that he needed to have a biopsy, and Vasily told his dad he did not want to have his biopsy and that Saint Ephraim would actually help him. Later that day, they took his blood tests again, and suddenly his blood showed that they had dropped 300 to 400 units down. The next day, the doctors took again his bloods, and it had dropped even more. So when he left hospital, he decided that he wanted to go and thank Saint Ephraim for this miracle, but he was so tired, so he decided to go home instead and have a rest. Now, a short time after this, he then all of a sudden one day realizes that he's got bruising coming up on his body. So he contacted his doctor again, and the doctor said to him, "You need to go to hospital." The doctors told him that his bone marrow has stopped producing blood, and the condition is called aplastic anemia, and it is a very serious disease. And they told him that he has to go on the drip, but not just one, but 5 different drips in isolation.
Πολύ μεγαλύτερη από την πρώτη.
So before he went into isolation, he has to go back to the monastery where he prayed to Saint Ephraim once again to help him. And he was only 26 years old. He did not want to die yet. And this was way more serious. And he apologized also because he had promised him to go initially, but he never went to thank him. After the 5 drips were administered, unfortunately, they did not work. And they told him that the only hope now was to have a bone marrow transplant.
Και πλέον η μοναδική μου σωτηρία ήταν η μεταμόσχευση μυελού των οστών.
Okay, so because he needed a transplant and it was impossible for him to find one, as he said, there was no donor from his family or any relatives, they went to the news. Okay, this footage that you're going to see was all over Greece on the news, and it went to the Minister of Health. They're basically pleading with anyone in Greece to help out. So keep watching this.
As we can see, this is the reporter where they're actually asking from the general population for a bone marrow transplant. Here, a gentleman is saying how they keep making up excuses that they don't have beds in hospital or this or that. The doctors couldn't really do much about it, and they basically told his father that by tomorrow morning your son will be dead. He's falling into a coma and his body can no longer stand this.
So basically they told his father that his son was not going to make it. So now what we're going to see is we're going to see his father on national TV, basically again pleading towards the minister. They're just asking for help. He's going to lose his son. So please watch this.
Κάνω μια έκκληση στον Υπουργό Υγείας να βοηθήσει. Είναι ένα νέο παιδί.
Suddenly, he started to smell that mirror, that smell again that he smelt in his house. And the whole of the emergency room lit up. It was just shining a white light. And he saw the saint, Saint Ephraim. He was really, really tall like he was in real life. And he was wearing a black hat like is depicted in the holy icon. And he was holding a little candle, like a light. He then leaned over, he did the sign of the cross 3 times, and he said to him, "Now I'm going to take care of you." The next day he's woken up, and he's no longer in emergency. They've got him in just the room, and a group of doctors comes in, and they said to him, "We just can't explain this. This is a miracle." The doctors said, "You must have had some saint with you." So he queried him as to what happened, and the doctors said, "Your brain has got no fluid, your heart has got no fluid, your lungs have got minimal fluid that we can take out, and your bone marrow has just started producing blood out of nowhere." Now this lady we're going to see met Vasily at the monastery. She married them and also baptized the first kid, and he named his kid Ephraim. This is the tree that Saint Ephraim was tortured on, and where he did not give up his faith or convert, but remained a Christian. In this little corner here, Saint Ephraim appears many, many times, and people have seen him. And they finish off by saying that miracles do happen in this modern day. What the reporter's saying here, the blonde lady, is saying that everyone is basically tearing up, and what an amazing miracle it is, because our faith is alive, and despite the fact that some people might not believe, things happen in life that make us return back to the truth.
Thank you once again for watching, and God bless you, God bless your families.